Okay, let's move on to multiplying and dividing rational expressions. When you're multiplying and dividing rational expressions, your superpower is factoring. If you can factor, you can solve these problems. Easy, easy, easy. If you struggle with factoring, you should go back and practice factoring before attacking these problems so that you are fully comfortable with how you need to be able to solve these problems. So let's jump straight in. The first thing you're going to do is factor, factor, factor. You're going to factor everything you see that can be factored. Look for x squareds and try to factor those first. So here I see an x squared, so I'm going to think, what can I multiply to get -6? That adds to -1. That would be -3 and 2. So my factors are x minus 3 and x plus 2. This guy I can also factor. I'm going to think, what can I multiply to get 20? That adds to 12. That would be 2 and 10. So I'm going to get x plus 2 and x plus 10 as my factors. I have one more thing I can factor, and it's down here. So I'm going to think, what can I multiply to get 10? That adds to 7. That would be 5 and 2. So I have x plus 5 and x plus 2. From here, after I factor, I'm going to remember what I'm supposed to do with fractions when I'm dividing and multiplying. If you remember from class, we talked about when you're dividing fractions, it's a KCF problem. So you're going to keep the first fraction, you're going to change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and you're going to flip the second fraction. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to keep our work, keep the factors, keep the fraction, keep everything on the top, oops, and everything on the bottom. And then we're going to change, so let's see, I'm going to keep, if I can spell, keep, change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and flip this fraction. That means I'm going to take what's on the top, what's on the bottom, and write it on the top. And I'm going to take what's on the top and write it on the bottom. Now, if I'm just talking about multiplication, I don't have to do any of that fancy business. Remember, whenever you're multiplying fractions, you're just going to multiply straight across. So you don't have to flip anything. You're just going to keep it exactly as is. My top stays on the top, and my bottom stays on the bottom. Once you're here, you're going to cancel anything that is the same on the top and the bottom. And that applies even across fractions. So for example, if I see x plus 2 on the top of this fraction, and I see x plus 2 on the bottom of this fraction, I'm able to cancel them out. If I see x plus 5 up here and x plus 5 down here, I can cancel. I can also cancel these x plus 10s, and I'm going to end up with x minus 3 over x minus 4 and x plus 2, and this is, oops, your answer. Okay, I'm going to do one more example from this page. That would be x plus 5 over x squared plus 7x plus 10 times x squared minus x minus 6 over x squared minus 4 divided by x squared minus 9 over x squared minus 10x plus 16. Okay, remember, when you're dealing with multiplying and dividing rationals, your superpower is factoring. So if you can factor all of this stuff, then you'll be able to solve these, no big deal. So let's go ahead and start by factoring. This guy I can factor. I'm going to think what multiplies to 10. That adds to 7. That would be 5 and 2. So my two factors are x plus 5 and x plus 2. This right here, I can multiply negative 3 and 2 to get to 6. And that adds to negative 1. So those are my factors. This right here is a little bit different, isn't it? This right here is a special case. This is a difference of squares. So for this one, you would need your formula sheet unless you have it memorized by now. Remember, your factors are going to look like a plus b and a minus b. So here, I know a is x because I take the square root of x squared, and b is 2 because I take the square root of that, and I'm going to end up with x minus 2, x plus 2. This guy is also a difference of squares, so I'm going to take the square root of these two terms, and I'm going to get x minus 3 and x plus 3. This one is one of those where you think, what do I multiply to get 16? That adds to negative 10, and that would be 8 and 2, as long as they're both negative. So my factors are x minus 8 and x minus 2. From here, you're going to think about your fractions. So multiplying, you're going to keep the fractions. Dividing, you're going to keep, change, flip. So this one I don't have to flip because it's not behind a division sign, so I'm just going to keep it. X plus 5 over x plus 5, x plus 2 times. Again, this fraction right here is not behind a division sign, so I do not have to flip it. So I'm going to keep it. X plus 2 over x minus 2, x plus 2. But this fraction back here is behind a division sign, so when I'm writing it, rewriting it, I'm going to write all of my bottom stuff along the top, and all of my top stuff on the bottom. I am flipping this fraction. Last but not least, you can cancel the same term. So I see an x plus 5 and an x plus 5, x plus 2 and an x plus 2, x minus 3 and an x minus 3, and last but not least, x minus 2 over x minus 2, and that leaves me with x minus 8 over x plus 2, x plus 3 as my answer.